Hi, I'm Aaron Carter, managing editor of American Rifleman magazine. This week we're on the road visiting Granville, West Virginia. We're going to give you a behind-the-scenes look at production of new ultralight arms rifles and give you an introduction to Melvin Forbes, who could be considered the father of the lightweight rifle.
The fellows that I deer hunt with are the ones that put me in business. The rifle was designed on a bet. I had a customer that wanted me to build him a lightweight 7 mag, and I did that on a Socko Action and a stock from Lee 6. And when he came down to pick it up, he said it was wonderful. It was exactly what he was looking for. And I said, but it's way too heavy. I said, during the time that I built your rifle, I'd spent a lot of time thinking about what a rifle could be. And I'm going to build a 6mm that weighs 6 pounds with a scope on it. And he basically said I was full of it, and there was no possible way I could do that. And about 2.5 years later, I had a 6mm that weighed 5 pounds, 14 ounces with a scope. Took it to the deer camp that I hunt with, and a bunch of the guys there said, you need to build some of these. You need to actually start producing them. I tried to explain to them what kind of circumstances we were running into with tooling and investment and all that. And when I left that week, I had enough money to capitalize the company and start. And that was in '83.
I'm here with Melvin Forbes of New Ultralight Arms. Now, Melvin, can you tell our viewers what is the significance of this particular rifle?
Well, I tried to produce an extremely lightweight, very portable, totally balanced rifle that didn't have any bad habits. So that in the field, if the rifle doesn't balance between your right and left hand, it's not going to have the instinctive pointability that you're going to have if it's weight heavy in the front or weight heavy in the back. And basically that's the way it works out.
Okay.
Okay.
Now this rifle was on the cover of American Rifleman.
This rifle was on the cover of the American Rifleman in 1986. Pete Dickey did this story, and it took a little while for it to get unwound, and to get into the business and only be in it for a little over a year and have the cover of the Rifleman was a distinction that really kind of got my attention on where we were headed with this thing, because as I've said many times, I was just a hillbilly trying to make a living, and this rifle evidently made a significant impact on a lot of people. American Rifleman really turned the whole company around as far as that goes. The legitimacy of that publication in this industry is the top of the heap. I mean, you cannot be legitimized any better than to be published in that magazine. The rifle that we build is unique unto itself because it's not patterned after much of anything else. It was the total concept of where can I get rid of as much weight as I can and still maintain the utility and the accuracy and the balance. And I literally designed that rifle around the guard screw. I laid the front guard screw on the table and built a gun around it. Everything I put on the north end went on the south end.
Melvin, I'm holding a Model 20 Action in 308, so obviously the Action weighs 20 ounces. Right. How many different actions do you do?
We build 9 different action sizes, and then we do them right and left-handed. So we've actually got the ability to produce anything in a standard Wildcat, improved, or European designated cartridge in an action specific to that bracket of cartridges. So we can reduce the weight at the very beginning where it needs to start. Then you've got access to any number of barrel lengths and so forth to optimize the caliber.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you can tell it's a minimal
There's
action.
Nothing there.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. Folks, when we first started, they looked at action and say, well, can you shoot factory ammunition in them? I said, well, yeah, I mean, we measure pressure in PSI. They call it pounds per square inch, right? Okay, so think about the scenario. Go grab a soda straw over at the Mickey D's store, and you could put 60 PSI in it with your mouth. Put 60 PSI in this room, you're gonna blow the walls down because it's based on pounds per square inch. So by reducing the diameter of the action, maintaining the same wall thickness, we actually made it stronger, not weaker. To produce it consistently, throw out everything that you understand about firearm production, and you start with a clean sheet of paper and say, if I can maintain total control over the center line of the entire barreled action, I can make them work consistently. So you can't make an action out of a forging and do that, because there's no machinery out there that will allow you to guarantee centerline control. You can't start with a casting. The only way I could conceive of doing it is with a tubular style action. Literally drill a hole, ream it and finish it, put it on a mandrel and OD turn it. Now you know every single time where the center line of that part is and where the distribution of mass is. Now you can cut square cuts on the face of the action, square cuts for the receiver locking surfaces, and everything's going to fall into place. But it's got to start with a clean hole and turned off of that center line. But we get done building an action, we're going to have about 1/1000 clearance on the inside dimension of the action to the diameter of the bolt, and locking lug engagement off the machine of about 85%. But everything is square and straight. You're not torquing the action any when you load it during the firing sequence. And it's very, very repeatable that way. The stock was the biggest issue, because most of the stocks that were available at that time were finishing someplace in the 35, 40 ounce range. The stock on the rifle we build weighs between 18 and 19, and 6 ounces of that weight is the recoil pad.
Melvin, can you explain what's going on in this phase of production, please?
Well, Bill is, he does our painting for us, and the process at this point is the final details. And after the stock's bedded and rough sanded and all of the dimensions are finalized, Bill goes through it and does the final scrutiny to make sure everything is exactly the way he wants it to be before he takes it to paint. Very meticulous about masking it off and keeping all the lines straight. And the gun stocks they don't look like it, but they're mostly just a whole series of straight lines. It doesn't look like it, but it's a straight line from here to here, and a straight line from here to here, and a straight line from here to there. It's just all connected with radiuses, but it's a whole bunch of straight lines. And Bill understands what that stock's supposed to be so that it performs the way we want it to. And he does the detail work to make sure that it's that way before he takes it to the paint room and puts paint on it.
Okay. How much does the stock weigh in this phase before the paint?
At that point, it's going to be a little over 17 ounces, and he's going to put 2 ounces of paint on it here in a little bit. So once it's made, there's nothing else we can do to it that doesn't make it heavier.
Okay.
The recoil pad weighs right at 6 ounces.
And this is...
And out of the mold, the stock weighs about 8. So, you know, almost 40% of the weight of the stock is just in the recoil pad. And it's the wrong place because it's clear at the end. So now the barrel has to be heavier on the front end for it to still balance on that guard screw like we were talking about.
Okay.
Because everything that goes on the north end of the guard screw has to go on the south end of the guard screw. They're unique because they don't have any bad habits. There's a lot of conversation right now about what guard screw torque should I use? How should I be taking care of that scenario? Well, we bed the barrel action in the stock that we build from the fore-end tip to the tang, and it's all bedded in one process. And that stability, that footprint, because if you think about a barreled action that's just bedded on the action, you've only got a bedding footprint that's as big as the action. But with our barreled action, you've got the whole stock length as a footprint. It has to go back where it started. It has to go back and line up. And as long as you don't introduce any dirt between the barrel action and the stock, it won't shift point of impact. It's the consistency that we've established for each part. So if it's not according to the print, throw it away, start over.